by far one of my favorite parts of doing these every month. Just that music right there. What's up, Felipe? Satish?
How you guys doing?
Good morning, Satish. Good morning, Armon.
Hey, good morning. Very excited for today's show. Usually it takes a little bit for people to trickle in, and I would imagine we're going to have quite the global audience. We typically do, people from all over the place. While we're waiting for them to come through, Felipe, are you going to do it? You mentioned you're going to go to Japan on Monday. That's one of my favorite countries, top 5 by far. I've been to maybe almost 40 countries at this point in my life. Are you going to do anything fun when you're not working? What's your plan out there? Do you have anything planned?
Yeah, so I'm not a planner, but I have. I'm going to Japan for work. I'm going to land there on Monday. Do my best to be able to sleep so I can wake up on Tuesday and start doing the whole thing. But yeah, I love Japan. I've been there many times for my previous job. It's my first time there for Snowflake, so I'm really excited to meet this new community.
Awesome.
Then I have a weekend there. Then I have doing a meetup on Monday. And then instead of coming back to California, I'm going to spend a lot of time in Asia for the end of the year. So that's where the big plans come. Yes.
That's awesome. I'll have to catch up with you about that. I used to live there. I lived in China for a year, believe it or not. So we'll be very curious to hear what that's like. Speaking of which, as people come in, if you have any questions for Felipe right off the bat, hit us in the chat. Also, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always fun to see where the audience is at. I believe we had over 500 people that were geared up to tune into this morning or evening, wherever you're at. So while we get started, why don't you two introduce yourself? Felipe, you're the guest. I hear this is common for you to be interviewing others or you hosting your own LinkedIn Live. How does it feel to have the tables turned and now being interviewed? And also give us a quick background on yourself.
For sure. So I love both jobs, being the host and being the guest. Being the host means it's my responsibility to make this interesting for people, but being the guest means, oh my God, I need to be interesting. I need to say something that worth the audience time. So it's shared responsibility. So let's make it cool. Oh, I see people are connected.
There you go. New York City. I'm sure more and more will continue to trickle down. Hey, Eric. Hey, Jan.
Yes, I need to forget about doing the hosting now.
You're the guest. I'll make it easy for you.
Yes, and background-wise, I'm a developer advocate for Snowflake. I've been here for 3 years. It's been an amazing place to be at for the last 3 years. And before that, I became relevant in the data world thanks to Google. I was there for almost 10 years, where the last 8, I was a developer advocate for BigQuery.
Nice.
I learned all I had to learn, and that gave me the tools to join Snowflake when it was the right time to join the data cloud.
Amazing. I got plenty more questions there, especially on your background, where you're at, what attracted you. Satish, you want to do a quick intro?
Sure. Satish Jayanthi, co-founder, CTO. I come originally when I started my career, I started as an application programmer, but then became an accidental DBA. And then, once I came across the whole data warehousing space, I just fell in love and continued to be in that for as long as I can remember. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys will be 2 great guests. For those who don't know, Armon Petrossian, CEO and co-founder with Satish here at Coalesce. So why don't we get started? As people hop in, if you want to ask any questions, you don't need to wait. Just feel free to shoot it in the comments. Felipe, there's been so much that has changed within the Snowflake ecosystem just over the past 3 years that you mentioned you've been there. We're obviously very close with Kent Graziano. I think you overlapped slightly while you were there in somewhat of similar roles around evangelism and being an advocate for the data cloud. Can you just quickly talk through what attracted you most to Snowflake in the first place?
Yeah. So one thing I'm hearing from both of you is that you both have backgrounds on the data warehousing world.
Correct.
And For me, I didn't. I joined when I joined Google as a software engineer. So
Got it.
suddenly I'm there, and it's a completely different world than what the rest of the world knows, uses. And Google starts producing this magical technology that permeates. It's the basics for a lot of what the world has built, at least in data. And there we have BigQuery, which is really cool for analyzing large data sets. A lot of people were looking at BigQuery as, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
But then in my Google world, I start hearing a lot more about Snowflake. Again, that's a surprise for everyone. Where did Snowflake come from? Why do we have all these huge players that should be the dominant technology? But suddenly more and more people hear about Snowflake uh, sitting on the BigQuery world. Why is this new thing becoming something? And what's interesting for customers of Snowflake is that Snowflake also has roots on the data warehousing world.
Right.
So instead of being this completely new thing, it's a new thing that understands where Satish and Armon and everyone that has been solving data problems have been. So it's like, let me offer you something that scales as much as it needs to scale, but it understands what you need to do. It comes from the world you come. And I hear more and more about Snowflake. Then Snowflake gets something that I loved about BigQuery that I didn't see in others, which is the term called the data marketplace. This is a place where you can find public data. This is a place where you can find premium data. And I'm like, yes, there is a marketplace of data here. So when the time came to leave Google, I was not interested in anything but Snowflake. Okay, this is where everyone's moving. This is the cool one. My people that love BigQuery are telling me, I love Snowflake too. And I saw there something that I could leverage, which is public datasets. I love that. I love the. But yeah, that's how I ended at Snowflake. We can go into more details, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good background. I wasn't aware of that. I didn't realize that you had traditionally been a software engineer prior, and so less so probably what was less attracting or first attractive to you about Snowflake wasn't the data warehousing aspects. It was more so the fully encompassing holistic view of what we call the data cloud now. So with that background, I think it gives me some more to work with, which I'm excited about. And obviously, over the past year, it's been a really big year for data. But I think what's taken everybody's awareness by storm has been the introduction of large language models, ChatGPT. Obviously, Snowflake's done a lot to quickly push into that segment with things like Cortex, which we'll talk about later. But when we think about looking back a year ago, say, we were at the last year's summit to now, did you see this coming, Felipe? Did you see that there was the potential for something as disruptive as like OpenAI and ChatGPT? Or did this surprise you and catch you off guard? Honestly, tell me the truth.
LLMs are amazing. So last year, about this time, we all started playing with them. And the thing is, I don't know if I saw it or I didn't see it. It's just everything is so different now.
Yeah.
Nothing else has taken us. LLMs are everywhere. I spend time talking to them almost every day. I use them for my life. I use them for everything. And it's funny because at the same time, it's not so different to what we had before, which is we have experts that we can talk to We can ask them questions. They can help us. We always had that.
Yeah.
And also experts are wrong, which LLMs are wrong too. So it's not only about having an expert that can give you good advice. It's the availability of it.
Yep.
I have a question and I have someone that can answer it now for free and understands so many things. But yeah, they are unavoidable. This is going to change everything. No one knows how much things are going to change.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of it, but
how do you mentioned you use it for everything or you use it all the time? How, like, give me a couple examples of things that people wouldn't traditionally think of that Felipe is using a LLM for. Like to send a text message back to Alex, or do you use it to write your emails? Like, what are some unconventional ways that you find yourself using an LLM?
So I use them one as a source of expertise. Like I have an expert on any topic and I can ask them questions. It's amazing. I have not automated many things because I still trust them half of the time. 50% of what they say is true, 50% not. And you need someone to judge if they are doing it correctly or no, you got this wrong. Let me try again.
Got it.
But using them from entertainment to, for example, Snowflake now has Snow Park that has data frames that look a lot like Spark. And that's great for anyone that has used Spark. But if I want to use them, I have to learn Spark. And I was never interested in learning it. So I can go to an LLM and tell them, hey, write me this SQL query but using Spark.
Mm-hmm.
And because the Snow Park in this sense looks so similar to Spark, well, they can help me start writing things in ways I couldn't. Or sometimes I'm wondering how to do something efficiently, and I can have a conversation about what is efficient, what is not.
Right.
Also, for my personal life, this year I lost like 40 pounds.
Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. And I did it using data, like counting calories.
I blog post about this, Felipe. Did you
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I seen this.
Yes.
That's amazing. So what was the secret sauce? You mentioned you used data. I'm sure ChatGPT didn't work out your legs for you on leg day. So what was your advantage that you used data for?
Yeah. So the basic of losing weight for me was I'm going to start counting calories. I'm going to measure my weight every day. I count the calories that I'm eating. I'm using my watch to track how many calories I'm burning. But then every day I have so many questions. There are so many mysterious things about this. Who do I ask every day about how much calories is this thing? How is it okay to go up or down? What's the formula?
That's awesome.
ChatGPT was there for me along the way. And Bart too, because sometimes ChatGPT gets things wrong. Then I ask Bart. Then I try to see who got the thing more wrong or less wrong. Who do I trust? But yeah, having this nutritionist right by me was amazing.
That's really cool. I have to ask, what were you doing for exercise? I'm sure it's in your blog post, but I'm just curious. On top of counting calories, weighing yourself every day, getting informed on, I'm sure, diets and different types of foods, what were you doing for exercise, or what are you still doing for exercise?
Yeah, so I like this basic point of losing weight is not about exercise. It doesn't matter how much exercise you do. It's
There you go.
eat below your budget.
I like that. Yeah.
You're going to burn this number of calories today. You have to eat less than that.
So true.
It doesn't matter how much exercise you do because.
But, so are you saying you didn't do any exercise? You literally just ate less?
No, I'm saying that to lose weight, I had to eat less than the budget.
I see. Of course.
Now, what happens if I want a larger budget?
You got to exercise.
I got to exercise. If I exercise, then I can eat more. So But then exercise is not about losing weight. Exercise is about I want to eat more, I want a larger budget, but I still need to eat less than the budget. And that's where exercise becomes fun because just walking, that's so much
Yeah.
about if you want to increase the budget. But then when you care about exercise, also you should not lose muscle. And that's when you start bringing resistance because, oh, muscle is important too. But those are questions that I kept asking to ChatGPT, going further down into what should I do for this? Is it working enough? But losing weight is all about eating less than the budget. You want to eat more? We can increase your budget. You want to be healthy overall? Okay, add strength exercises.
Yep. Yeah. I remember I've gone through a similar phase in my life, wanting to focus on fitness. And I remember reading a blog about somebody who ate only Twinkies, just to prove that you can lose weight eating whatever you want as long as you eat less calories than your body burns, and did it for a month or something where they ate literally only Twinkies every day, but still were able to lose like 15 or 20 pounds because they were still below their budget, like you said. So that was not what I was expecting when I asked you unconventional use cases for LLMs, but I love it.
But I have to say, just to bring it back to topic,
yes,
this is so similar to when people ask a question that everyone has cloud scalable systems is, how do I keep costs down?
Right.
I need to keep eating. Like, yes, do you want to spend zero on Snowflake? Just stop using it. It's so easy. Do you want to lose weight? Just stop eating. Oh, easily. But no, I eat because it brings a lot of benefits to me. I stay alive. I still need to be aware of the budget. And then when I have a budget, I start making choices. Do I want to eat the cookie or do I want to have a beer? Do I want to have more? It's all about how do I focus my choices? How do I use that budget to remind me that I cannot spend unlimited? And if I want to spend more, I just need to use it. Well, I'm spending more, but am I using it in a smart way?
Perfect. Satish, two quick ones for you. I don't think I've ever asked you. One, did you see it coming, LLMs? Two, I will admit, I don't use ChatGPT or LLMs as often as I probably should. I'm still getting used to it. You two are much smarter than me. So I'm curious, have you used it for any unconventional use cases similar to Felipe? So did you see it coming? Anything come to mind there?
So did I see it coming? It definitely surprised me of the quality. But the natural language processing problem itself has been around for a long time. So it's like saying we knew cell phones prior to iPhone.
That's true. Yeah.
But then iPhone came. It was like, wow, this is awesome, right?
Yeah.
It's a similar feeling that I got. So it was, people have been saying it's possible, but we just never seen. It was a huge bump in terms of how systems could understand natural language and process them. So that's how I felt it. It was somewhat shocking, but also not too surprising. As far as using LLMs or ChatGPT for that matter, I kind of use it every day, pretty much. Not extensively, but for the similarities, not as the way that Felipe used, but having an expert on something that can aggregate all the information pretty nicely.
Yeah.
Because with Google, you can do it, but it'll take a long time after you have to click a dozen links before you kind of summarize that information. I use it for, let's say, when we create job descriptions.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Job descriptions is a great one because it'll give me a head start. Like I say, hey, you're a hiring manager of a SaaS company and you're looking for this, and here is give me the requirements, give me the qualifications, and boom, boom, boom. Like 2 minutes later, I have a job description to start working with. Sometimes I use it for emails. Basically, the way I do it is I write my own email, I rewrite this, and then I go and tinker with it and kind of adjust to my tone and my, if I'm traveling, I say, hey, I'm going on this for 3 days. Give me an itinerary. Give me the spots that I want to check out and things like that. So pretty,
That's
common
cool.
things, but I like it. I like, in fact, there are other tools that are coming based on this. I don't know. I mean, there's a company called Perplexity.ai.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing some marketing right now, but it's a pretty cool Google-like interface. But
Mm-hmm.
it is doing the same thing, but it's in a nicer way.
Nice.
So,
Like just a more user-friendly experience.
yeah, it's just one text box. There's nothing else. Just like Google, you type in your question and it'll give you all that information, just like how ChatGPT. It's using the LLMs behind the scenes.
Cool. I love it. I didn't think about using it for certain times you travel. Maybe Felipe, you can use that when you go to Japan or Asia. Where should I go when I'm in this city?
I use it. I went to I landed in Arizona. I went to the Great Grand Canyon, and I asked ChatGPT a couple months ago. It's like, give for these 3 days when I land at this time and I leave at this time, give me a hour by hour schedule of what I should do.
Wow.
That's very cool.
That's
Very
awesome. Okay. Well, bringing it back to data, obviously this is all around the best of 2023. So looking back, I realize this is our last coffee with Coalesce for the year. So Felipe, we must have saved best for last. I'm just curious, obviously we talked a lot about LLMs here, but thinking back from what you've been at recently at the build conferences with Snowflake, were there any specific announcements that you were most excited about or the audience was most excited about? Could be LLM related or could be irrelevant.
So we have two kinds of announcements at Snowflake. I love both, but I love one more than the other.
Okay.
One are the announcements of what we are building. Those are, and this will be soon in private preview, and it's full of exciting things that are going to happen in the future. The other announcements that I love even more is when we announce, hey, and now this is in public preview. Oh, now this is in GA. And that means not only that I can play with it, many times I have access to private previews, but public preview means that anyone can work with it. Public preview means that now when we got GA, it means everyone can put it in production. That makes a world of difference. There's so much happening at all these levels, but what comes first to mind, like more than recent, but just thinking of 2023, is dynamic tables.
Yeah.
The ability to describe what I want, and Snowflake take care of once that arrives streaming or batch. This is how it moves all around the Snowflake without an external orchestration. It's going to happen. I'm telling Snowflake, this is what I want. Snowflake takes care of it.
Yep.
Playing now with dynamic tables is amazing.
Yeah, that's a big release. We were really excited about that here too. When we saw that private preview, just going through that whole journey, and it was an exciting evolution. It makes things a lot easier. So that was, I want to say that was announced at pre-summit, but it became private preview probably right around that time frame. So was there anything else, if we go back from prior to build, thinking back at summit in June, was there anything else besides dynamic tables that left you with a similar feeling? Maybe not as exciting, but some of the things that you were pumped about?
Yeah, so I always have to keep a mental map of what's private preview, what went. It's all about.
Don't get in trouble, Felipe.
Let me ask ChatGPT. But a new one that I'm playing now with too is Streamlit in Snowflake. That's also huge. That's also how we integrate things. We give people the ability of, you want to share this table and you want to give toolbox. It's not only a dashboard, but you can give anything to your users in your company to make them able to access the data, manipulate it, and do stuff. Uh, I can just write 5 lines of Python, and Snowflake itself will take care of the data security around it, making all the connections, hosting it, running it.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
It is cool. Satish, I know you've been interacting with Streamlit a little bit more recently. We did a webinar, I want to say last month, with Coalesce and Streamlit that was really well attended out in Australia, New Zealand. I'm curious from your perspective now, interacting with it more, anything to share on that front that you've experienced?
Yeah, they're pretty exciting, but I also have a question for Felipe on that.
Okay, you go first then.
Yeah, so regarding this Streamlit applications, now you can, some of the applications that I've seen where you just built, just like how I said earlier, just a search box, like just a 5 lines of code. You have some way to prompt something, and then you can run like a powerful LLM behind the scenes, and you're interacting and all of that. My question to you, Felipe, is in the future, are we looking at replacing the entire like dashboards, the concept of all these dashboards and stuff, and just build Streamlit apps, by whatever function or department? Or how do you envision that in the future? Is that what's going to happen?
Again, I'm not the futurist, but I love the question. I think about it.
Yeah.
The thing about Streamlit in Snowflake right now is that it gives you this whole freedom. But I still need to write my 5 lines of Python or my 20 lines of Python. And I know that in many places that doesn't work. And there are smart people that say, you know what? I don't want people to write Python.
Right.
I want people to use GUI. I want to enable. I know people that have founded companies around that of how do I make this more accessible. But at least Snowflake here is providing the place to run these things.
Right.
A lot of people will not want to write Python, but we can have tools that write Python and that make that part easy. But the fact that we have these main blocks in Snowflake that allow, let's say, Coalesce, right, the interactive visual part, that's amazing because we are giving you the place to run everything and host it securely without having to care about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Satish, anything to add on that with interactions that you've had with Streamlit? I know we were playing around with it recently. What your experience was like, or what you see as an opportunity there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So first of all, it is a fantastic function feature to be able to build interfaces very quickly and ability to run a powerful engine in the backend. I mean, we are even like, for example, we can take our metadata, some of the run metadata that we collect, and build a Streamlit app and have our customers, kind of use that Streamlit app to interact with the metadata, understand what was run, what are the jobs, all of those things. And it's pretty easy to build all of that for someone who knows how to write Python, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, that opportunity.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Streamlit gets leveraged more in the ecosystem in general. I think we're just at the beginning, so it's been awesome to see the potential. Felipe, we had Bob Muglia on a few months back, and one of the things we talked about, you brought up Python a bunch. One of the things we talked about was SQL. You haven't mentioned SQL. At least I don't think I've heard you mention SQL yet today. As a software engineer traditionally, now turned data cloud advocate, you obviously got a very holistic view of so many things that are possible on Snowflake. What are your thoughts on SQL? Do you think it's going to die? We don't think so, but do you think it is going to die at any point? What's the future of SQL?
Oh, we always come back to SQL. I love SQL.
And by the way, where do you put your comma in SQL? No,
In front.
okay.
I like my leading commas, and I have a whole rant about it. Yes. Um, I love SQL. I built my career around it.
Love it.
Like, it's of course people are switching to natural language now. Uh, but still, SQL has a beauty of describing exactly what you want, how you want it, and then you let the system figure out how to solve the problem.
Right.
But my ability to say, this is what I want, this is what I want to aggregate, these are the rules and the exact result that I want, that's amazing. Um, as a side note, when I was in college, in my database class, in my midterms of databases, it was all about SQL, and I failed it. I promised it to myself, I'm not going to be a DBA in my future. I'm not going to work with SQL. And that's how you know what kind of visionary I am.
The last thing you thought you'd do ended up being what you.
Exactly. That it's the thing that made me famous. But it happens so much. I love this meme that shows like the beginner programmer saying, "Oh, I love SQL." Then the programmer becomes smarter. They're like, "Oh no, SQL is beyond me. Just such a tool for neophytes. I want to do things in a complex way. Look
Yeah,
at
they like
Spark."
scoff at SQL almost. They scoff at it like that's too easy or that's too
It's
old.
definitely not easy. Yeah.
I'm going to build a career with SQL. Like that's for my analysts. I'll do the fun, complicated stuff. But then the meme ends on, oh, I'm going to use SQL. Once you become this illuminated
Yeah.
person that's like, oh, that solved my problems all along, in a beautiful way.
Yep. That's awesome. I see that journey. We've seen that journey numerous times. People going kind of against it and then trying some other languages, but then always coming back to it. So we feel like it's here to stay for a very long time, at least. And I'm glad to hear you love SQL. Sounds like you are passionate about it too. One thing I've been curious about too, just thinking about the changes that are happening right now in the industry, and we touched on it a little bit. Like Satish was asking about Streamlit potentially taking the place of, dashboarding, for example, with use cases. With LLMs, do you see a certain part of the analytics workflow being disrupted most immediately? Is there a certain segment of it that you feel like, oh, this piece of the workflow is now obsolete or is outdated?
I want to refer to there's this company observability platform that has SQL-like capabilities. It's an observability platform. They collect a lot of data. They have their own language to let people run queries. And they created a copilot for themselves. And they tested it in production. And they wrote a great blog post about how people are using it.
Nice.
What they figured out in their experiment is that people that ended up using this copilot was from all their users, the users that were the most had the most expertise in the tool were the ones that use it the most. And so that's interesting. This is, even though we want this to help our new users, it's
Right.
the experts that can leverage it. And then the big use case for them was figuring things out at first, like create templates for me.
Right.
Teach me how do I write this. But from then on, um, they kept using the templates and modifying the templates itself instead of going back every time to generate things from zero. And that's why I like having my LLMs as my assistants. They are helping me. They're teaching me how to do things. But now, from then on, I can take the template because also it becomes tiring correcting. Like, I don't know, I want this. No, I want this. For example, generate me a website. I don't need to learn how to create a website with the latest web technologies. I can just ask for it to make me a template. I can ask it to change it until it looks something like what I want. But from then on, I can edit the HTML. I can see where it made the decisions and I can improve it myself. But I love this view based on their experiments of, yeah, we're helping the experts, people that know what they want and know when things are wrong, but we're helping them accelerate the boring part, and then they can keep improving and using the templates from now on. That's what they did. Like, again, it's not the vision, but
Right.
this is how they ended up using it.
That's cool. So basically, it was a force multiplier or amplified the expertise depending on the skill set, but the people who had the most value were the ones who were already experts in that specific product. So yeah, you would think intuitively, you would think that it would be helping people who are beginners just trying to learn how to use it, but it does go hand in hand. You kind of need to get the experience to then leverage it as effectively as possible.
Yeah, you will always need, as far as I know, someone being able to tell your assistant, your LLM, or the person you hire is, no, that's wrong.
Right.
You can hire the smartest person in the world. You still need to tell them, wait, that's wrong.
Do you feel the same way about automating SQL writing and leveraging generative AI? Like, is that how you feel about when people were to go and try to build let's say a data warehouse or go through building out a use case, that the same philosophy applies, Felipe?
Yeah. Especially because they get things wrong. So how can you tell that they are wrong or not? How can you send them back to the drawing board if they're just accepting it? I love example from photography. Like, I love generating pictures with. I do it for my blog posts. I do it for my own entertainment. I don't know how to draw, but I can tell it what I want. But the more you know about drawing, the better instructions you can give it of what you want.
I see.
If you are a photographer, you can tell it very precisely what you want, what angle, how to the changes, and yeah, it amplifies your knowledge. It amplifies your capacity of asking for things.
Satish, anything to add there? Anything?
I mean, I can't agree more on that. So that's how I've always been, kind of evaluating these things. It's never going to, I think, I shouldn't say never, but at least in the foreseeable future, I don't see them as just replacing everything, but they are boosting the productivity of, experts, as you said. If you have to rely on two juniors, for example, let's say, to get your work done, now you can probably just need one person or something, and then use the productivity that you get out of these systems to improve your work and also learn, because it's so quick that it'll tell you what you're looking for, and then you have a head start on whatever you're trying to do.
Do you guys, since that's the case, I still feel like people are still trying to understand all this, right? Like, we're still in the middle of it, like you said earlier, Felipe. Like, do you feel that at this point in time, society has the right impression of the way that Gen AI will impact day-to-day lives, or is it inflated? Are we still kind of going through the hype curve, if you would call it, or do you feel like?
Yes, that's a future question, but I would say we have no idea how these things are going to be in 1 year. Like,
Yeah.
we're in the middle of it. It's impressive. We also are disappointed by them every day. We start using them, then we are like, oh, I know how the
Right.
tricks are doing. But the rate of how they improve, how they compete, how everyone is comparing them, it's just changing everything in ways we cannot forecast. And that's fine. I
Yeah.
love the Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger answer to this is Charlie Munger just passed away. But their answer this year at their conference was, I don't know how the world is going to be. They've lived for 90 years. They've seen so many changes. But I don't know how the world is going to be. But I know people are going to keep wanting the same things. Like, and that will keep being the driver. We have people and we have the same needs. We have the same wants. It's just we enable them in different ways.
Yeah. What about looking forward? I know it's hard to predict the future. Is there anything that you do look most forward to in 2024 that's coming? Either of you?
Satish, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes back to this whole AGI or generative intelligence. I'm really excited about that. To be honest, you find the right use case, then you will have a better result. So I'm looking forward to incorporating more of that into our own technology.
Mm-hmm.
For example, what we are doing. So I'm really, really excited about that. So whether it's we use LLMs for, not just generating SQL, maybe it looks at data and then gives you insights, but in a way that it's transparent.
Right.
That's the key. A lot of times we always felt like we didn't have enough transparency in the past. Now we're making it worse by adding a black box in a way, right? Because it's going to do something and you have no idea if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
So the challenge is, how do you incorporate this technology but not go backwards in terms of transparency and governance?
Mm-hmm.
Keep that as well. That's going to be the challenge. But I'm really, really excited to incorporate more of that technology into our own.
It feels so experimental, right? Like a lot of it. You've talked about this in the past on previous shows around the importance of transparency, and I feel the same way. It would be critical for us to understand how you get to the conclusion anytime you're interacting with some type of LLM. But it still feels experimental. Like most of your excitement is around those experiments in 2024. It's seeing and trying to find what use cases will have the biggest impact. Felipe, what are your thoughts? What are you most excited for? Is it similar, or do you have other?
Let me reframe the question because this is always this is a conflict I have every day at work.
Okay.
Especially because when I sit here with founders of a company, of course you live in the future. You see a future and you think of how you're going to change everything. Any vision that you have is not about what we're going to produce in the next 2 months, but where are we taking people? In my world, as a developer advocate, I'm talking to developers.
Right.
And so uh, at Snowflake, I live between these worlds, especially when I see it with uh, marketing, and everyone is thinking, this is the shiny new thing that we are going to announce. This is what we have announced. Let's talk about this. Let's double down on this shiny new thing. But I need to give my developers things that uh, they can do today. So I'm not thinking about, even though I'm seeing all the future on this hand, still
Right.
I'm still worried about how I'm going to bring the things that we have built on the last 3 years to
Mm.
them. This is my future. Like they're still missing out on so many things that have been GA for long that can improve their life. So um, and just thinking about that, but something that I'm celebrating this week is Snowflake made it to the top 10 databases on DB engines.
Nice.
That's an incredible accomplishment. Like, we how it went from nowhere,
Right.
or even the place 200 3 years ago, to now being the top 10 and being so pervasive everywhere. Like, I'm sure you see a Snowflake everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Uh, and I go to a data conference, and there's no data conference that's not thinking about Snowflake.
Yep.
Even when we go to a competitor that has no Snowflake booth, everyone is thinking about Snowflake. So that's pretty cool. But then I go to other conferences, more normal developer oriented, and so many people have no idea what Snowflake is.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
We have had that same experience going to different conferences as a vendor, and it's been eye-opening to be at one of those where, let's say, 80% of the audience is still living on premise. And I hear the question like, what's Snowflake? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be joking. But then you think about the market. I mean, especially if you think about the global market, it lags behind typically than North America. And so there are so many workloads, the vast majority of workloads still living on premise, people who haven't even started thinking about the cloud yet. And so you Felipe, you go to some of these shows, like what is that like for you being on the inside of Snowflake? maybe that's what you're most excited for 2024, seeing you go from 10, top 10 to top 3 and then top 1 over the course of the next several years.
Exactly. So my job is there. Like, how do I bring Snowflake to people that have no idea that Snowflake exists? How 2024 is like, yeah. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 has been the year of Snowflake. So many people are missing out on why Snowflake made it to number 10, and why it had deserved this place, and how Snowflake is way beyond of what it was in 2020, and it's this place. It's more of a platform where people are building, and but yeah, that's what keeps me excited. It's like I need to keep talking to people that want the latest in Snowflake, but I also need to keep talking to people that have no idea what they're missing
in the first place. Wow. What a job. Yeah, I mean, it is important to remember, Snowflake I just looked it up. I forget if it was 2011 or 2012. It's 2012, but they were just founded, 11 years ago. It's not that much time, the grand scheme of things. And so getting into the top 10, I would have thought Snowflake was already there just because we live and breathe every day in this ecosystem, solely in this ecosystem. And so it's our lives. But when you take a step out of it, like you said, it can be a bit eye-opening to see that there's still a lot of people out there that haven't even really started thinking about the cloud yet, that haven't had that exposure. And so we're excited about that growth, very excited about that growth.
And you chose Snowflake, and you mentioned it's founded in 2012, but that was eternal. Yeah. No one heard about Snowflake until 2015, 2016. That's when it launched the product.
Yep.
In even less time. And then you decided to found a company that works with Snowflake. So you need Snowflake to be in this place, and you need to have the vision early enough, how many years ago, to say, yeah, this is the one that's going to grow. This is the one people are going to choose. And
well, Satish and we cheated because we were working with Snowflake as early as 2016. So we had a first-class seat into the growth right from the beginnings when they were about maybe somewhere between 150 to 200 employees. So going through that experience, especially knowing people like Kent who were very early into the business, gave us an advantage to get that exposure, I would say earlier than most. But like you said too, there's still so much growth in the future. And so we had talked about doing something like this for a long, long time and are excited about where things are headed. We want to help support your mission, Felipe, and help everybody know what Snowflake is and get it up further in the DB Engine's ranking. So
yeah. But yeah, I admire the vision that you had and the capability of saying this is where things are going. It's so early. Like, who would have known? You do. So
yes.
That's amazing.
Partly luck, partly relationships. You know how this works. And then partly vision. Most of that coming from Satish, not me. But I know we got just a few minutes left before we wrap things up. Is there any last thoughts you want to leave the audience with, Felipe, just around Snowflake or anything else that comes to mind before we?
Because we have some friends and we are live, I would love to see what questions they have.
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions, hit the comments. Now is the best time. It usually takes a minute or two before it catches up for the audience. So just keep in mind of that.
My question to you, since we are talking about what's new in Snowflake, and this is especially relevant to everyone that wants to leverage the platform that Snowflake has built. How do you see native apps being able to run?
That's a good one. You're turning the tables back to us now. You're asking us the question. We were actually just at reInvent and native apps got brought up. We're excited about it. We've got some plans there. I don't know, Satish, if our lawyers are going to get mad at us if we share this, but why don't you answer Felipe's piece on what your thoughts are there and how we see our company leaning into native apps?
Yeah, we are super excited about that feature as well. Primarily because it makes it so much easier for an app to be part of the ecosystem of Snowflake ecosystem, and without having to worry about security or governance or any of those aspects. So having said that, I believe, I don't know if it's a public or private preview again. Do you know?
The answer is yes. Let's play safe and let's say private preview. I can check, but it will be. It is happening.
We're pretty used to that. So, but I'm super excited once that becomes a like GA and ready to go. We might be looking into how we can put some of our parts of application or maybe the entire application on it, just to make it much easier for anybody who wants to use Coalesce, a no-brainer, because it's just there in the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think even in the near term, Felipe, we've got some plans that I won't spoil or share right now, but some easy low-hanging fruit use cases that are really exciting for our customers to leverage native apps that should be released hopefully soon. Like pretty soon. And so stay tuned for that. We're excited about it. And talking to the partner marketing team at Snowflake, they were pumped to hear it too. I think it's a big push right now to get into native apps at Snowflake, especially for the partners. And so we're excited to support. And ultimately, it's the right thing for our customers too. So there's some sweet use cases there.
Nice. That's so exciting. And again, it's offering like, how do we grow together? The story that this is top of mind from yesterday. So 2021, I joined Snowflake. It has its IPO. 2020 is when I joined Snowflake and we have the IPO. 2021, when there was so much money around, there were so many new Snowflake competitors. We are the next Snowflake. And I remember one that had like the signs on the 101, the billboard that said, Snowflake is slow, we are better. Then in 2023, they had this billboard that's like, oh, you just left Snowflake behind.
I've seen those too. Yeah.
But the thing is, yesterday their announcement was, we are building a native app for Snowflake.
What? That's awesome.
So it's becoming this place.
I'm pretty sure I know the exact company you're talking about. We won't share. I just got word on Slack that apparently either StreamYard or LinkedIn isn't populating the comments, even for some of the private ones, which is sad. So maybe what we can do is we can look back at the comments after this and answer them for the audience, since we weren't able to see it on the screen. But I had a really great time with you, Felipe. This is an awesome conversation. I learned a few things about you. I learned about your exercise routine. I learned how you leverage ChatGPT. I learned what your mission is at Snowflake, what your background is. So this was super informative. for myself. I hope it was for everybody that was tuning in today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We were looking forward to this. And what a way to end the year with our last Coffee with Coalesce, having you on. So thank you, Felipe. Thank you, Satish, for being here and talking through this all. Yeah, we appreciate you. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Next year.
Next year. We'll see you next year.
Yes.
Hope to have you back on at some point too.
Happy New Year.
Yes. And next time I want a Coalesce demo, but let's leave that.
Yeah.
We can definitely make that happen anytime.
And you should get this one too. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
If Alex didn't get this for you yet,
Yeah.
It'll be
We'll make it happen.
out soon, I'm sure.
Thanks a lot, and it was a pleasure to meet you.
Cool.
All right.